It's no secret that when the Beatles went to India, they were given some advice that if they removed the finish from their guitars would be able to breathe better. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure that my guitars are breathing very good nowadays, but I did decide to take my Telecaster and completely remove the finish, leaving us with the raw Tele. So this Telecaster has some history to it. During the pandemic, I wanted a project, something I could be working on day in and day out for quite some time. We're all stuck at home. What are you going to do? So I didn't have a Telecaster at that point. I went and got a Fender Player Series Butterscotch Telecaster. The only part on this Telecaster that's original to that is actually the wood body. Everything else, the pickups, the pick guard, the neck, tone controls, all the electronics in it has completely been swapped out. So the electronics are actually from a company called Obsidian Wire, if I'm saying that right. These are solderless electronics. And I really thought the advantages of the solderless pickup installation would be that if I didn't like these pickups, I wanted to swap them out, it could be very simple. And turns out it is pretty simple. I just needed help from my wife because she has a lot smaller fingers to push the little dip switches in. The pickups are from Seymour Duncan. These are the La Brea pickups, which are like Brad Paisley style pickups. You know what? They don't make me sound just like Brad Paisley. I still got to do some work on that, but I do like the sound of these a lot. The neck pickup, usually on Telecaster, the neck pickup gives me problems, but I found it really usable. It's got a good mid-range quality to it. The neck was ordered from Warmoth, and I highly recommend if you're a guitar player, even if you're not looking to do a refinish, check out Warmoth because on their website, you can customize every single aspect of this down to the truss rod. The shape of this neck is a U-boat, which is like the thickest neck that they make. I was able to get stainless steel frets, and I've got Fender locking tuners at the top. The saddle or bridge area is one of these like vintage brass saddles, and that's just about it. Nothing really fancy about it. I refinished this guitar in cherry red during the pandemic, and you've seen this in some of my videos before. Unfortunately, I didn't take any video of that. That was way back before I was doing a lot of YouTube stuff, but the process of refinishing a guitar is not for the faint of heart. If you're looking at putting on a lot of coats of clear coat, a lot of sanding, the nitrocellulose, the color can drip, and if you don't do it at the right temperature, you'll have a lot of runs. You'll get a bunch of that like orange peel stuff going on. It is a really detail-oriented process, and it's not impossible. Stu Mac has some great videos on YouTube that you can check out if you're looking to do a proper refinish. Here's my thought process with this. I watched the Beatles documentary, and I knew that they refinished their Epiphone Casino deal. John Lennon specifically just took all of the finish off, and I wasn't sure. They could very well have put some sort of clear coat, although I don't think that if they're getting the advice from India that they got where you're supposed to let your guitar breathe, I don't see why they would sand it off and then add some sort of clear coat to it. In fact, I really like the feel of this guitar. Now, it seems like I'm just taking the lazy way out, but I've sanded this thing both with the machine, the mouse sander as well. I recommend if you're taking the paint off, just go for a mouse sander, and it's gonna do some damage. You're not gonna be able to maintain a lot of the flat edges that you have, but by choice, I wanted to have the rolled off edges on this guitar. So when I grab this thing is like smooth as butter. And what's cool is I could very easily grab some sandpaper and smooth it out some more. So this is by far the smoothest and best feeling guitar that I own. You've got to be very careful when it comes to the neck pocket. If you're doing any sanding, you don't want to sand off the area where the neck is attached, because then it may have some problems locking in just right, and it could mess up a lot of your action if you raise or lower the amount of distance that the neck has. Would I recommend that you do this to your guitar? No, I think you need to treat your guitar with a lot of respect, but if you are going to do it, grab something like one of these parts casters you can get online. You can actually go to StewMac and get a wooden body, but you will need to spend some time sanding, especially if you want that smooth finish. If you want to kind of make it your own, you can take these guitars and you can literally like lop off sections if you want to, because essentially it is a big block of wood. Now this guitar also is not leaving this room. So if I were traveling, if this thing were gonna get wet or if it were gonna get soaked, anything like that, I could see it having some major damage. But isn't that what we pay a lot of money for nowadays? Like you see the distressed guitars all the time, selling for big bucks. I just figured why not go ahead, sand this thing off. And I really like the look of it because you definitely get to see all of the wood grain on this guitar. So you'll see a before and after with the red Telecaster. I'll be showing some clips from the process of just sanding it off and then a little bit of putting it all back together. You probably need to reach out and have some help, especially with the electronics. If you're doing a lot of soldering or anything like that, just make sure you know what you're doing. May not want to do it on your only guitar. Start with something you can practice with. And then if you want to do it to your main instrument, that would be a good deal as well. As far as sound goes, I think this Telecaster has sounded the same no matter if it had the butterscotch Tele, the red nitrocellulose finish, or this wood. Psychologically, I could tell myself that this thing sounds more airy, but I'm really not into those kind of like mystical nuances of the guitar. I think it just is all about the look and how it feels. If you like the way your guitar looks, I think that's going to go a lot further than something like pickups and tone selections and things like that. So I hope this video is giving you some ideas of ways that you can creatively just kind of mess around with the guitars that you already have, especially if you got a guitar you don't like the color or the finish on it. Hey, just go ahead and sand it. It's not going to destroy the guitar as long as you know what you're doing when it comes to putting the pieces back together. My name is Chris Green. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you next time.